Welcome back to Big Boss Mare with Brandy Von Holten. Today, I have a special guest. He is with Patio 52, that is in Stover, Missouri. He and his longtime friend his friend is the owner of it. He is the one that's basically managing it, and he is here to share his story. Now then, the two of them used to, they've been friends since one of them was 10 and one of them was 12. They got into law enforcement, and now they own a barbecue restaurant. Okay, so let's dive into this. Today's guest, his name is Jason Worthley. Okay, and the way that I have to see Worthley in my head is the word worth, and then like a guy's first name, Lee, but it's not L-E-E whenever you spell it, it's L-E-Y. So it's Worthley.
That's correct.
All right. So, Jason, you are I always ask, because I'm a 1979. You're a
76.
1976. Okay. And now then, Jason, what town did you graduate from?
Stover, Missouri.
Stover, Missouri. Now, Stover is how far from Sedalia?
It's about maybe a 30-minute drive.
Okay, from Sedalia.
Southeast of Sedalia.
Yeah, and then if you don't know where Sedalia's at, maybe you know where Kansas City's at. So Kansas City's about an hour and a half from Sedalia. So we're talking Stover's probably 2 hours from Kansas City.
Yeah, one of the best ways I'd describe where Stover is if you know where Lake of the Ozarks is, we're north of the lake. We're the North County. Morgan County is the North County on Lake of the Ozarks.
So, and if you don't know what Lake of the Ozarks is like it's an area where a lot of people have second homes. A lot of people vacation there. There's a lot of commerce that comes to our area from Lake of the Ozarks. Like a whole bunch of people swim there. There's a lot of extra restaurants. What else is there at the Lake of the Ozarks?
A lot of boating goes on. A lot of money at Lake of the Ozarks. A lot of big money, big boats, big houses. It's a vacation spot.
Okay. I think there was a TV show called
The Ozarks.
The Ozarks, yeah. I don't know how many seasons they're into, but I know a lot of people like that show. But that show has nothing to do with probably the way that it really is, because that's kind of...
It's a little different. We, me and a buddy of mine, Sam Shoemaker, we actually went and we were
I don't know. Did you give them advice or something?
I guess we looked like hillbillies. So they had us come down there. You know, Sam's got a big old red beard. I had a beard at that time. And we were extras.
Okay.
And we filmed all day long on the strip.
Oh, I didn't even know this.
No, Jason Bateman came in, and it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I had a pouch of Red Man. I put a chew in, and he was like, "Is that breakfast?" And I said, "It is today." And so they wanted me and Sam to stand there, and they're like, "Jason, take a dip out of that bag of Red Man." And that was 8 hours long. Jason and his crew would come by. They would film me putting a dip in. And then didn't take very long. My head was spinning.
Okay.
I mean...
From all the tobacco.
Yeah.
See, and okay, so what I'm getting to see right now is he doesn't have this long beard. He's a pretty clean cut guy. He's got his shirt tucked in. He brought his cowboy hat, and right now we have headsets on, so he doesn't have his cowboy hat on. And he had just said it's weird to not have my cowboy hat on.
It's a little weird to be sitting in people. You know, at home I'll take my cowboy hat off, set it off, but to be anywhere else and not have it on, it's a little weird.
I love my cowboy hat. You know, I'm on the Pettis County Health Board, and I'm the only cowgirl that's on that board. Well, I wear my cowboy hat in there. Well, there were some people, we have to film our meetings live, and people were like, "Why does she have a hat on inside?" And I'm all like, "What? We're from different upbringings, because I'm used to having my hat on all the time."
I always loved cowboy hats. Like my uncle down in southern Missouri, Patio, Missouri, had a farm down there, and he was a cowboy hat wearer, and I loved his cowboy hats. And when I was little, though, I never did wear them because there's not too many people around that would wear a cowboy hat, unless you're a true cowboy, which I'll tell you right now, I'm not a true cowboy. I wear cowboy boots, and I wear a cowboy hat. But when you meet a true cowboy, you can kind of tell who they are. But the older I got, when I got in my 40s, I thought, you know what, I'm going to wear this cowboy hat. I don't really care what anybody thinks.
So with you saying that you're not a true cowboy,
I ain't been on a horse in I don't know how long, since Potosi days, but down there at my uncle's farm.
I don't know what Potosi days are.
Potosi is a little town in Washington County, in Missouri.
Okay.
And I used to go down there a lot when I was a little kid. And like I said, my uncle had a farm down there, and we rode horses and got to watch a lot of what I would call true cowboys, breaking horses and roping and doing all that stuff. And I just thought it was the coolest thing.
So what horses have you rode before?
When I was little, my uncle gave me an Appy, and it was a beautiful Appaloosa. And I was riding it one day, and a guy told me, he said, that Appy is the reason why the Indians lost the war. So, but I love this little colt. And it about killed me a couple times. Got throwed off of him. Always wanted to ride him before he was broke, and I'd get throwed off quite a bit. But, drove my mom and dad crazy, I'm sure.
My husband loves his Appaloosa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I told him, actually, I did a social media post about this not too long ago, and a lot of people agreed that my husband basically married his horse because she's chubby, but she's still pretty. She even got big boobies. She got an attitude.
Yeah.
She even has a messed up hip a little bit. And I'm like, my hip hurts too from all that fighting I used to do in Taekwondo. So I was just like, wow, my husband did marry. Her jaw's even been broke before, and my jaw's been broke before. I've got 4 plates and 14 screws in my face. Wow. So, literally my husband married his horse.
Crazy.
What was your Appaloosa's name? Do you remember?
His full name was Nigel Budbar Joe. We called him Little Joe.
Was that his registered name, or was that some kid name that you gave him?
My grandma's name was Nigel.
Okay.
And I think my Uncle Cody just named him that. And like I said, he sent him up here to Florence where I was living, and sent the mare up, the mom up, and that little colt. He was a good horse. I was just too young to be trying to ride him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get into. I have a poster. It's a metal sign actually that will go on our shower house that talks about your restaurant, the restaurant Patio 52. Now at the very top of it, it's got a black background, and then it's written in blue. It says that it's owned and operated by law enforcement officers. So before we talk about Patio 52, and they have a sauce that can be purchased and anywhere in the United States. Before we get into that, I like for people to really know who they're supporting and know who, because, consumers have the ability to make or break your business. And I want to make sure that they make your business. That's why I've got y'all in here.
And we appreciate it.
Well, and you know what? I've traveled. I mean, I've been to 5 different countries. I've been to 40 some odd states, and I'm a foodie. And I love your food. And I don't know if people realize how whenever I give somebody like a stamp of approval on food, it's a big deal because food is important to me, because I didn't get this figure by missing meals. Yeah. Okay. And I don't like to eat food that isn't just the best food that I can have, like good food. So you do have my vote of approval.
I think Chuck has done a very good job of creating this menu. He's worked with our suppliers with creating this menu and the food items that everybody comes in, they say, Jason, what do you like? And I have a hard time picking just one thing. There's a lot of things on this menu that really are good.
Oh, I don't have trouble picking. I like your bacon cheeseburger.
I don't think anyone could go wrong with a bacon cheeseburger.
Man, but I've seen people do it wrong, or the meat's wet, or it's not thick enough, or it's not cooked the best. And then your club sandwich, it's almost too much. And I can put down some groceries, and that's a big club.
It's lunch and dinner, because I'll get there at work at, we open the doors at 11 o'clock for lunch, and I may have them make me a club, and I'll run half of it home.
Right.
Because we get so busy later on that I don't really have time to eat. Mm-hmm. And when I get home after closing the restaurant, there's that half of that club sitting there waiting for me. That's
funny that you say that you don't have time to eat. Do you know that now that we've opened up Von Holten Ranch, which is a horse trail riding facility, I ride my horses less. Whenever I ride my horse, it is for a reason, but now with our camping and trail facility, I mean, we have 40 RV sites and 4 cabins, 94 stalls. Okay.
94.
94 stalls. That's not even counting the boarding barn, because some people's horses actually do live here, but it's a lot. I should have got a college degree in cleaning, because that's what I do a lot of now.
Yeah.
Cleaning and social media.
Yeah.
So my husband, let's go back to your restaurant. My husband loves your Philly cheese steak.
That's
I think it's a
one of my
quesadilla
favorites.
or a sandwich. I can't remember.
We've got the Philly cheesesteak sandwich, and then we have a brisket quesadilla on our appetizers menu.
Yeah. Well, I can't get past the mac and cheese bites with the roasted red pepper ranch that y'all.
So we have a roasted red pepper sauce, and then we have a jalapeno ranch.
Yeah, I can't. I don't have no love for no jalapeno.
No jalapeno. The jalapeno ranch surprised me. I'm not a fire eater by any means,
Right.
but I really like that jalapeno ranch.
It probably mellows it out with the milk of it. Probably makes it where it's not hot.
It kind of mellows it out, but it's still got that good. It'll make your nose run.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's still got a good bite to it.
You know what? Hey, just gonna. I like to plant seeds. Wasabi ranch.
Wasabi ranch.
Well, do you know about wasabi?
We'll have to look into that one.
Do you know about wasabi?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right, because I had some wasabi sweet peas one time or maybe it was green beans. I can't remember. It was at like a New Year's Eve party, but it was wasabi mashed potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing.
Really?
I told you I'm a foodie. Like, I remember that was probably from like 2005, 2006, and I'm all like, those wasabi potatoes they made a dendrite in my head or something.
Yeah.
They made a little wrinkle in the brain, so I would remember them. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go all the way back. Okay?
All the way back. That's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. Okay, so he is from a town called Florence, which is super freaking close to where we're at right now.
Yeah, you're not very far from Florence right here.
Right? And then when you were 15, y'all moved to a town of Stover.
Yeah, I grew up in Stover. That's where we went to school. Both Florence and Stover's in Morgan County. So, but my little town was Florence. There was only about 100 people, and it was, for being a kid, it was the absolute greatest place to grow up.
We were from a town called DeKalb. Well, before I was 5 years old, my parents pipelined, and so I didn't really have a home. We lived in like 5 different states, but then the first home we had was a small town called DeKalb. And then after my parents got in a little bit of legal trouble, then we moved to Arkansas, and I ended up in a small town called McRae. And McRae is teeny tiny. Most of the time, it's kind of like Stover. It does have a road that goes through it, so if you didn't need to stop, then you might not know everything that's there.
Yeah.
So, all right. So he and we shared something else about it. Was we were raised in a single wide.
We lived in a single wide, and like I said before, looking back on it now, that little single wide was home for a long time.
Yeah.
Then of course, I've lived in big houses and I've lived in little houses, but that little single wide was home as much as any of them.
Man, my mom, she kept that thing so clean, and then we had plants everywhere and mirrors. Like, I love that house. I didn't know that I thought it was just, do you have a brick house? Do you have a wood house? Do you have a mobile home? I just thought it was regular. Whenever I went to school, I had some friends that I had invited them over, and they had never been inside of a single wide or a double wide. They were like nervous because they're like, aren't you in the air a little bit? And I'm like, well, it's a floor. I mean, there's where the wheels were. Yeah. But I remember a friend being nervous about it.
Really?
And I'm all like, what? This is normal, And I remember we were pretty high society when we got underpinning.
Oh, yeah.
But every time,
fancy like.
Dude, it looked good. It did look good with that underpinning on there. And my parents built porches. We had a large porch on there. But every time the freaking wind came, I'd have to go find the underpinning.
Yeah.
Put it back in.
There. So,
anyways, and my family, I'm one of the smaller people in my family. We were not allowed to run in the single wide
because there's not enough room.
No, not enough room.
Run into something.
Well, you'd run into something, and we would get to shaking it.
Yeah, you'd feel it in the far room.
Yep. So
yeah, we like I said, grew up in a single wide. Me and Chuck, we look back at it now. We sit and talk about the trailer, and then Chuck had a little house south of Stover on 135 that his parents had, and It was a house, but it was a little bitty house, and they raised 5 kids there, 5 boys there in that house, and we look back on it now, we still say both of those places were home.
Yeah.
Just as much as anything else. So.
Well, in our home now, I think we don't even have 700 square foot in here. It's just my husband and I, and I'm like, this is awful to keep cleaner. I'm like, I wish I could make it smaller.
Yeah.
Like, I am.
Me and my wife, we've talked about that. We're like, we're not going to have a big house.
No.
She wouldn't want one anyways because I'm make a mess. She has to clean it up. So the more room I have, it'll just be a huge mess. So.
Oh my gosh. So, our house, we made it to where we're a couple of foot too short to make our house 2 stories because between my husband's motorcycle knees and my martial arts hip, we didn't need to have a second story when we get older.
No steps.
No. And then we put in concrete floors because it's just so much easier to clean.
I think it's the way to go.
Oh, and that robot vacuum cleaner. I will have a robot vacuum cleaner until, if it dies, I'm going to get another one.
We had someone last night at the restaurant say we need to get one. Our waitresses will sweep and mop every night. And someone one of the customers said, you need to get one of them robot vacuum cleaners.
It's like high society.
Yeah. Okay.
It's equivalent to getting the underpinning. Okay. The robot vacuum cleaner is. All right. So let's get to, so you graduated in 1995, and then it wasn't very long after that you became a dad.
Yeah, no, it was pretty quick after that, actually.
So tell me, now you're on your second wife.
Yep.
Okay, so tell me about the ages of your children and your grandchildren.
Yeah, grandchildren. That's
crazy to me.
Seems crazy, yeah.
Well, it's just weird to me because I didn't ever have kids, and now you and I are a couple of years apart, and then you're talking about grandkids, and I just forget. I forget that somebody my age can have grandkids.
It's not just a grandchild. Up to a month ago, I had a grandchild. Well, now a month ago, my stepdaughter had a beautiful little baby girl, Magnolia, and then my youngest son and his woman are getting ready to have one. So, yeah, my oldest
grandchildren. So you are officially a you can't even kind of dabble and be like, oh, I got one, from this kid that was older. But you're like, oh, no, I got multiple. Yeah,
you go from being Jason Worthley to now I'm Paw Jay. So.
And you don't even have very much gray hair except for on your chin.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah.
But
so tell us about these kids.
I do. I've got 4 kids. Colby, he's my oldest one. He's the one that made me a grandpa first, and then Shelby would be the next one, my stepdaughter, and then Cameron is 22 years old, so he was my youngest one, and then I've got a 12-year-old girl now. We were home free. The kids were older, but I've got a little girl, Kennedy, which I didn't know what it would be like having a daughter. Mm-hmm. And when she was little, they'd ask her, "Where's your daddy?" And she'd point to the palm of her hand. Like, that's where Dad is. I've got him
around your finger.
Yeah. So little girls are they're something else. And my 2 little granddaughters, both of them. I got 2 girls, granddaughter. I've got Cameron's baby's on the way. Not sure what it's going to be. I'm guessing a girl, but we'll see.
I could see you being good with girls because of law enforcement, and you're pretty soft spoken. Like, I have to have him way up on the microphone because he's soft spoken. Yeah. I think that's good because I don't like whenever people yell or nothing like that. I couldn't see you getting irate. Typically, the people that are calmer with their voice are more level headed.
Oh man, people listen to this podcast, they're going to say that woman has no idea what
Jason's.
No, out on the water patrol, my FTO, John Sellers, he said, Jason.
Now, what's FTO?
A field training officer.
Okay.
So, you get out on Lake of the Ozarks, there's a lot of things that go on out on Lake of the Ozarks. We'd pull up to a boat that maybe had a lot of women that didn't have something on or did have something on, and he would say, Jason, put your doctor face on. And I was like, what's a doctor face? And he'd say, just put your doctor face on. So you'd go up, you'd pull up to this boat, and there may be naked people there, but you're like, okay, just be professional, soft-spoken, and But outside of law enforcement, people would say, you got to watch me at a basketball game probably, and I get a little wound up.
See, right now there's that show called Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And
I've heard about it.
Well, There's a lady on there that's a ball buster. Her name's Beth Dutton. Okay. Yeah. Well, before Yellowstone come out, because like I have a Beth Dutton in me, but I would say that if somebody, because I can get irate.
Yeah.
And my husband's only seen it twice, never towards him. Once in Las Vegas, whenever lady brought it, and I was like, oh, honey.
I think every once in a while you've got to let that out.
Well, it's scary. It scares me to let it out because I always try to keep it squashed down because there's like a beast. But before Beth Dutton, I'd always say, oh, they know where I tied my goat. Yeah. Because if they can figure out how to get me to that level, they know where.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand that because people view me as like super sweet, super nice. I'm goal setting. But I choose to be that way because I have been the other way before whenever I couldn't contain it. But you have to choose to contain it. And it takes a lot of time. And it takes effort, and it takes not containing it to be able to contain it. So I'm fully aware. Right. Yeah. I used to train police officers. I was a PR 24 instructor and a handcuffing assistant instructor with the VA. So
that's cool.
Yeah. I know with you being calm, I know that there's the flip side. Yeah. I don't want you to think I'm unaware. I'm very aware.
It exists, but when you're in law enforcement or anything, running a restaurant or running your ranch out here, you have to be professional. Mm-hmm. And there's times when in law enforcement where people try to find my goat, and then or there's people at the restaurant that push buttons, so you just try to keep a level head.
So you and your friend are working together on this restaurant, but y'all became friends in 1988 whenever you had a little cousin that passed away. What was his name?
Travis.
Travis was best friends with Chuck, but then after your cousin passed away, you and Chuck became really good friends.
Yeah, and that's how we remember it. I don't really remember much about Chuck before then, but Travis passed away. Chuck's dad was in law enforcement at that time, had to go home and tell Chuck, hey, your little buddy has been in a car wreck. So shortly after that, me and Chuck started hanging out, and the entire Chuck Black, Jimmy Black, Bill Black family became my family. All their brothers, his mom, Marcia, his dad, Bill, we all just became family. And we're in our 40s now, and it hasn't changed any.
Right. So Chuck Black, and then he's got a brother named Jimmy and another brother named Billy.
Yep, and then there's Ronnie and Mikey Black, and Mikey he just recently passed away a couple weeks ago. So, but yeah, those are the boys, all five of them, and it was fun growing up with all of them, really.
Well, I just expect a lot of chaos with five boys.
Marcia unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, and she is one of the sweetest women in the world, and I'd say she'd probably describe it a little bit as chaos, especially when all of us came over there.
Right.
We had a pretty good group of friends that hung out with Chuck and Jimmy and them, and we were either at Marcia's house, or we were at Brett and Carol Shadwick's house, or so I look at all them women now, my mom and them, and think, man, how'd they put up with us?
Well, I'm over here like, how did they feed y'all?
Yeah. So Chuck was the runt. You go walk in the restaurant now, Chuck's a pretty good sized guy, but Ronnie and Billy and all of them they're big. Jimmy's a big boy. My grandpa used to say, well, Chuck was the one that when the bell rang, Chuck slipped and fell and just had to turn around and go back to playing because the food would already be gone before he got there. But yeah, they now Chuck, like I said, he was a little bitty guy, but man, after high school he shot up.
Well, this is why Chuck owns a restaurant now, because he's tired of not getting any food. From five brothers. That's what I say. Five of them.
He had to fend for himself. He's probably out there, instead of playing, trying to find something to eat, figuring out how to cook things. But he's always been really good at that. And when we were younger, it was, where are we going? We're going to Chuck's.
Yeah.
So God bless Kelly Black, Chuck's wife. She's put up with a lot of people coming in and out their doors at the house. And for years and years, I was always telling Chuck, I was like, man, you need to open up a restaurant. I'm not a foodie. I don't know how to cook. I'm not a very good cook. Chuck is a good cook. I'm more of the mouth. I tell people when they come in the restaurant, I'm like, I like to talk. So I like to be out front talking to everybody and explaining the menu to them or telling them even stories about law enforcement when me and Chuck were in law enforcement. People love to hear those stories. Mm-hmm. But Chuck has always been real good, and there was always beer in his refrigerator. So a lot of people got free food. A lot of people got free beer.
But not at the restaurant now. Now there's a low price tag on it. It's a small price tag, actually.
It's a price tag, but yeah. But
do you know that? So my husband built Von Holten Ranch, but I fill it. So I tell everybody he builds it, I fill it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you are the filler because I'm the filler. I fill up the ranch. You fill up the restaurant.
Yeah.
So he was one of 5. You were one of 4?
Yeah. I've got an older brother, and I've got 2 younger sisters.
Okay. Now then, let's get into, you said, okay, so Chuck is married to a lady named Kelly. Kelly and them actually own State Fair Spirits.
Yes.
Okay, so what is that?
It's a liquor store in Sedalia. And I think it was started around in the early 40s. Her grandpa started that. And then her dad ran it, and now Kelly owns it and runs it. And it's a very, very popular place.
Yep.
And one of the oldest liquor stores. I actually think it started out as where you could go and buy bait and tackle. But
oh, really?
Yeah, that's
liquor.
And booze came in later, I believe. But I'd have to have Kelly tell you the whole story about it. But it's very interesting how her grandpa started this. And even my grandpa would say, "Yeah, I used to go see Kelly's grandpa all the time. That's where we stopped to get our beer." So, very interesting place. And Kelly really does work her rear end off, not just up there, but sometimes she'll leave at 2:00 from the liquor store and come down and
at Patio 52.
Yes, and when Kelly walks through the door, every employee is nervous. They're cleaning like crazy.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah, Chuck runs the place, and I'm there helping him, but Kelly is the boss.
Okay, so maybe Kelly and I are more alike.
I'd say you and Kelly are probably a lot alike.
Yeah, strong female. All right, so Kelly sounds like a busy lady. So your wife's name is Amy, and Amy does what?
She's the Morgan County clerk.
Okay, man, I know that she's busy.
She's a busy woman. She used to be the assistant administrator for 911 for 18 years, and decided to run for office. I think I told you one time, and I told her when she decided to run for office, I was like, don't do it. Don't get into politics. Don't do it. But it didn't take very long. I was like, good people need to run for office.
Yeah.
So I told her, I was like, you should run. And, it's election year. She's up for election this year, so we'll be back out there.
This is being recorded in 2022, so this is the election year. So if you're hearing us and it's 2025 or 2026, it might be different then, but this was recorded in 2022. Yeah, well, I got involved into politics, but not really, like running for the health board because we're coming up out of COVID and everything, but it's 4 years and unpaid, and it's a commitment.
That's a commitment.
Oh, it's awful. But you know what? People have got to get involved.
Good people need to get involved.
Good people need to get involved, yes.
Because bad people can run for office and win.
Yeah.
Corrupt people can run for office and win, but more good people need to get involved in politics.
Yeah, and it's you have to do it for the right reasons.
Absolutely.
And it can't be to do it. It can't be for money. No. It can't be for anything. Like I actually thought about running for Congress, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to take so much time away from the ranch. And then I was like, okay, so I was looking at how many terms that I would try to do and just actually projecting that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, then I want to come back to the ranch and work. A lot of people get into politics so they can stay in politics and be a career politician, and that is bueno.
I don't agree with that. I don't like that at all.
No, they need to be like, I want to, and I'll probably do something. I'm young right now. I'm 42. I'll probably end up doing something just because I get involved, and then I'm like, ooh, well, somebody's got to step up, and nobody ever steps up, so I become somebody that steps up.
Yeah, that's good.
Well,
but it is time consuming, and it pulls you away, like law enforcement did with me, and every, a lot of professions out there pulls you away from the things you love, family. Being with the Missouri State Water Patrol all them years, I didn't see a 4th of July holiday with my family. We were out working, every holiday during the summer, but it made up for it. I got some time in the winter, but.
Well, like this trail riding facility, I mean, people come to us for the holidays.
Yeah.
So that means no holidays for
holidays
us.
for
and then
you.
people, we work all week to get ready for the weekend. So that puts us working all the time, like nonstop.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. People don't realize that the amount of time that you have to, give up.
Yeah.
But that means that the people that end up giving up the time, like yourself and I, but for completely different reasons, we have to really love what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is just, it's a sacrifice, but if you have passion about it and you know that the world's a better place because of it, then it's okay for those sacrifices.
And what you're doing here, I think, is awesome. You do give up a lot of time. I don't, what we met a few months ago, but yeah, how do you feel when you see people here having a good time or creating memories like the wedding?
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the wedding. I have some friends that have venues and they don't have a different job besides that. And they're like, oh, this is so much work. And I'm all like, oh, that's the easiest part of my job.
Yeah.
And so I used to train police officers, and then I used to work at an inner city school, and now to be in a part of somebody's life that's all positive.
Yeah.
And you get to see people at your restaurant that are going on vacation, and when they go out to eat, it's for a positive thing, you know. So
we've got just we opened May 20th. We were sitting at the
May 20th of 2021.
Of 2021. We were sitting there, which was a terrible time. If this is, people hear this 10, 20 years ago, they're going to say they opened up a restaurant during the COVID.
Yeah, during COVID.
But Chuck, we were sitting there. We were going to do some soft openings, have some family and friends come in to try the foods, and
then y'all just got slammed.
Well, Chuck was like, Jason, just unlock the door. People have been pulling in. A lot of lake people from the Kansas City were coming down, and they'd watched this building being built and wondering what it was. So I unlocked the door, and the first car that pulled in, the doors open. It was just like a flow of traffic came in there. It was crazy. It was nonstop. We were calling, trying to get family and friends to come up and help, and we had a good first summer for sure. And when we were talking about building this restaurant, Chuck mentioned that we can't build a restaurant hoping that the people that go into the lake are going to keep us afloat. We wanted to build it for the community. And the community has came out and really supported us. So it's been great. And we've got those Kansas City people. We've got that lake traffic that's stopping in and seeing us.
Well, I'm trying to support you because whenever I'm not a big supporter of chain restaurants because I feel like it loses, caring. I guess caring is and it loses compassion. And I have seen, chain restaurants and not all chains. I mean, smaller chains are great, but the big chains, I feel like they lose a little bit. But I've seen restaurants that started off and then they became chains, but they were wonderful. But then little by little, I used to love the mints that I had at the end of the meal. And then I used to love how much lettuce and tomato they'd put on the side. Yeah. I would order a ranch because it was basically like a side salad that would come with it. Well, then over time, they changed to a cheaper mint. Yeah. And then they decreased the lettuce and the tomato. Yeah. And then, it was just little by little. Then I stopped going there because the amount that they care about it.
Yeah. Even the little bitty change. And we hate that we have to change our menus, because of pricing or because we just can't get a product. But changing it just a little bit, like I said, we just hate it. And
well, I know right now you're tweaking. You're still figuring out your business.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you're not changing your menu. No, I was talking about whenever these are businesses that have been around for 15 years, and they just start doing little things to cut costs.
Yeah.
But
then they cut, when they're doing that, unfortunately they cut quality. And that's one thing we don't want to do. We don't want to cut quality. Our supplier comes in sometimes and they say, hey, we don't have chicken strips. We can't get you chicken strips.
Right.
I would rather not have chicken strips than serve
subpar chicken strips.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
well, I know, like with your restaurant, I love those macaroni bites. And if you can't get macaroni bites in, you better not change them and give me some nasty freaking macaroni bites, because I have expectations now.
So they're so good. I think we'll just tell people, hey, we're out until further notice of the mac and cheese bites.
Yeah, most definitely. So let's go into, all right. So let's get back to the law enforcement stuff. Whenever you were in high school, you actually helped out with the DARE program. Like, they came to the high school and asked the administrators, like, who's a model, who's a good role model, and they chose you.
I don't know why.
Oh,
I don't have a clue why they chose me, but yeah, Jim Bellis was our principal at that time, and Rick Bias, he was the chief of police for Stover, but he created, or when Morgan County decided to get 911 service for the county, Rick became the 911 administrator, and they came over and they said, who's some kids over here that younger kids look up to, and I don't know why Jim said Jason Worthley, but he did. So I got involved with the DARE program in high school, and I went around to the younger kids and talked to them about the use of drugs and different things. So
you went from DARE, and then your first wife, after high school, y'all went to lived in Columbia.
Yeah, that didn't
last 6 months.
Yeah, we came back home, and it was hard to find a job back then. And I started. I was cutting cedar, hauling cedar up to Smithton, Missouri for $75-$80 a load. But I got a job at a sawmill.
Yeah.
And I think it was June, the Stover Fair. Rick Bias comes up to me and says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm working at a sawmill." And he's like, "I want you to come work for me at 911." And I couldn't type. I had no clue.
But can you type now?
I can type like crazy.
See, I love that, because like I am a highly efficient stare at the keys, and then I try to prove to myself that I know where the keys are, so I will look away, and I do know where they are, but my hands slow down. I just need to do it, but I'm like, why?
No,
it's efficient.
I've learned, starting in law enforcement in 1996 as a 911 operator. I was 19 years old. I've learned a lot. And I've came into my, graduating high school, I wouldn't have done anything like this. I wouldn't sit here and talk to you at all, or talk to the public.
Graduating from high school, I wouldn't have known how to do this and known how to edit or upload or anything. Yeah. We sure do learn a lot through life.
Sure, absolutely.
So as a dispatcher, for 911, you said then it was one computer and a piece of paper.
It was, and in a jail, Morgan County Jail, we had 16 inmates. And, dispatching was, me and Chuck, he's still in high school at this point when I get into law enforcement. And when Chuck graduates, he does the exact same thing. He comes in, he starts dispatching. We talk about one piece of paper in front of you and a computer screen. And now if you walked into the 911 department at Morgan County, there are computers everywhere, and there are dispatchers everywhere. It's just changed. Law enforcement has changed a lot.
Right.
In over 20 years.
So you started as this dispatcher, and then you became a Morgan County deputy. You said that in 1997, it was a different way that they became deputies. Then you had to do 120 hours of training.
I think these guys and gals are going through 600, 700, 8 hours of training. And back then, all I had to do was go through 120 hours, which I lived at Fort Leonardwood for a month in the barracks going through this academy. But
right.
It was a lot faster, a lot cheaper than today. But fortunately, back then, I had a wife and I had a little kid. I didn't have hardly any money. I was making $17,000 a year as a dispatcher, and the sheriff approached me. The sheriff now, Norman Dills, he was my sergeant at that time. Him and Rick Bice actually convinced our commissioners, and the sheriff said, "Hey, let's send Jason to the academy. Let's pay for it, and we don't want him to be without a check, so let's pay him to go."
Okay.
They
so it was a no-brainer. You were just like,
"Yep, I
woo.
went." I agree. And then when I did turn 21, and I turned 21 in the academy. When I got back, I became a deputy / dispatcher jailer. So
you had several slashes. You had 2 slashes and 3 titles.
Yeah, it's crazy to think now, because I would be the only person in that building, that jail, at midnight. And we had, maybe 16 inmates upstairs, but I'd have to, get on the radio and say, Morgan County be 10-6 away from the radio, which 10-6 means busy. And I would go do a jail check. And if the Missouri State Highway Patrol or VPD or Lori PD or anybody brought somebody in, I'd go 10-6 away from the radio and book someone in the booking area. And now to go over there and just see everything that they've got, all these employees and all these inmates now.
And you're like, I used to do it myself with a piece of paper.
That's what me and Chuck tell. Like both of our kids, both of our boys, despite us telling them not to do it, both of them are wanting to get into law enforcement. We tell the stories of how it was back in the olden days, in which that's not the olden days. It's Cameron, my son, when he was little, he was like, Dad, what's it like? What was it like growing up in the olden days? I'm like, you little turd, I'm not that old.
You're like, I'm not the olden days. Yeah. Come on, there's just a little bit of gray hair on my chin.
But it really is to look back on it when me and Chuck and Jimmy and all of us started in law enforcement. It's crazy to look how much it's changed in 20 plus years.
Well, everything. I mean, like martial art, as a big martial artist, I did that for 2.5 decades, and the changes that thing has made, because we didn't have chest protectors whenever I started. Yeah. And I've kicked girls and cracked their ribs before, and now they have like chest protectors on, and then you have to kick with so many pounds of pressure. Yeah. And we're like, ooh, kind of like dodgeball. Dodgeball used to get slammed in the face with those red. Oh, man, I've bled before from some dodgeball, and now they're using freaking foam. Yeah. And I'm like, foam? You can't throw foam hard enough. Well, that's kind of like, just everything has changed so much. The one thing that I do appreciate that's changed is like horse training, because it used to be like, get on and stay on. And now I feel like it's better, because it just seems like more people are in tune with their horse, and they value groundwork and desensitizing. And some of those old cowboys that just got on and stayed on, they're so freaking crippled up. Yeah. And it just, you've got to figure out a better way to do that. And it seems like, right now I'm riding a retired racehorse. Well, it wasn't retired. It was like a racetrack reject. She got a tattooed lip and everything. Really? And I'm 42 and chubby. You would think that I don't have a reason to be on a horse like that. But she's doing great, because I understand, when I ask her to do something and she tries, and I know that she tries, then I stop. And before it used to be like, I'm going to do it until you do this right. And so I do appreciate that. So you went from dispatch to a jailer to a deputy, then a canine deputy. Yeah, I became canine officer for Morgan County. And through the years of law enforcement, I've been fortunate to go and do something different, and really not even leave Morgan County. As a deputy, I became canine officer, and then became a narcotics officer. Me and Chuck both served with the Mid-Missouri Drug Task Force in the early 2000s. We didn't even know what meth was. We didn't know what a methamphetamine lab was. And early 2000s really hit hard here in central Missouri. So they created the Mid-Missouri Drug Task Force. And we both worked on it and had a lot of stories. That's one thing people love in the restaurant. Chuck, I'll come out, and some people out on the patio will be like, tell us the story about when you did this. Chuck leaves the kitchen, goes out and says, hey, ask Jason about this story. So I'll do the same thing to him. I'll go to someone and tell them a story about Chuck, or, wrecking the car when I was riding with him one time. Just lost control. We were responding to another deputy who was, screaming on the radio. And back then we had these Chevy Caprice with the LT1 motor in it, and those things were fast, and they could get away from you pretty easy. There was one point I turned around on a car, and you just dropped them off the side of the road and hit the gas, and they'd spin around.
Well, I dropped off the side of the road, hit the gas, and I spun and was going the same direction I was before. And so I just kept going. I didn't even turn around and go get that car. But yeah, they were fast. And, Chuck lost control of one time, and I was in the passenger seat and scared the crap out of me. We made it. We didn't tear anything up.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Do you ever get tired of telling the same stories?
No, not really. I forget a lot of stories until, we're sitting down talking about them. You forget all the crazy stuff that's happened in law enforcement. You try to forget all the bad stuff that happens or the bad stuff you see, but something will come up and I'll remember something, or Chuck will remember something, and we'll talk about it and, sit down with a bunch of friends and talk about how crazy, something was.
Well, and, with you, with you being around a vacation town, that's a lot of people have money, and a lot of people are there to have a good time.
Yes.
So that's going to mean increased drug use.
Well, yeah, and that's that just describes Lake of the Ozarks. People come there to have a good time. They're on vacation. They don't think that they should be. There should be
within
told
the parameters
what to do.
of law. Yeah.
And but people are dying out there, so you have to have enforcement. You have to have law enforcement out on Lake of the Ozarks and anywhere else.
Right.
Bad things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Bad things happen to bad people. Bad things happen to good people. And then there's law enforcement there to help. So I know in the past few years, defund the police or whatever, I just is
ridiculous.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they talk about reform. Well, I'm 45 years old. I still carry a badge. You're not going to reform me. You need to recruit better people to become cops. I always tell people there's 3 types of people that become cops. The bully in high school, he becomes a cop. The kid that gets bullied becomes a cop. But then there's a guy that just wants to go out and do a good job. That guy does not get any attention. Those other 2 that are using that authority,
Mm-hmm.
And they're abusing it. They make the news. It's like anything else. There's bad people. If there's a bushel of apples on the table and you grab that first one, you bite into it and it's rotten, you think the rest of it's rotten. So, but law enforcement's changed a lot. I don't believe in defunding the police or police reform. I do believe that we need to recruit good people to become cops. We need to recruit good people to become teachers and so on. Every profession out there, we need to go out and find these good people.
Well, boy, whenever you look at pay for some of these positions, whenever I was a school teacher, I started out, and you said you started dispatching around 17,000. Well, I started teaching school, I think 27,000 my first year, and they had us on block scheduling, so it was a longer amount of time. My first class had 41 kids in it, and only 3 were girls, and it was 8th grade. Okay. Wow. You talked about, Chuck being one of 5 boys and you being one of 4. Well, try to put 41 kids in a room with a first-year teacher. And I was like, oh, Lord, what have I done? What have I done? And 27,000, education, I think, is successful. The education system is only because of the hours that teachers work that they are not being paid for.
Yeah.
If they actually expected us to, the job that they get from us is just on the hours that we're paid for.
Yeah.
You would not see the projects, the papers would not get graded, the collaboration with other people would not get done if we did it just on the hours we were paid for.
Yeah. Michael Merritt at the Stover High School, I talked to him. We grew up together. He's my brother's age, but if he was actually getting paid for the hours that he puts in, because when the school closes, the doors close, the teachers and the administration people, they're still there, and then they've got a basketball game or a baseball game or a volleyball game or something. So if they actually got paid by the hour, it'd probably be
$80,000-$90,000 job.
Yeah, you're looking 6 figures possibly easily, but I compare law enforcement and education teachers.
Well, it's about that passion that we had talked about. I mean, it's the same.
We still have, you and anyone else listening probably has a teacher that they're thinking of right now that was important to them. I've got quite a few. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I didn't realize how important they were until I got older.
Right.
And then you start looking back, even though they may have been a little strict on you, you start looking back and saying, like Jim Bella saying, "Hey, Jason is a role model."
Yeah.
And I didn't know that when I was in high school, until they came up and told me, "Hey, we want you to do this."
In high school, you were being selected as a role model, and I was put in alternative school for a little bit. Yeah. I would have been the one that they were like, let me slide her name over here, and then let's slide Jason's name over there, because we were completely different. I had a little bit of a pretty rough childhood, but not rough, but like wasn't picture perfect, you know, and it made me, I was one of those bullies because I was dealing with things.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a bully, just, man, I was a hot mess. I don't know how to say hot mess without just saying I was a freaking hot mess.
Yeah, but
I was mean, but then I was mean, and like, but I had a good heart. I know that kind of sounds weird.
No, it makes perfect sense. I wouldn't say you were mean. I'd say you knew how you wanted things. This is my impression, or this is what I feel about you, even just a short time I know you. You know how you want things to be. Mm-hmm. And you are the type of person that will make those things happen. Yeah. And don't get in your way. Yeah. So,
like, beep, beep, all aboard, because full force ahead is what I've always been like that. But you know what? I don't view it as a bad. I view it as what makes me be able to be successful. A lot of people don't have a backbone, or their backbone's made out of jelly, and I have enough for two backbones. So you also so you went from dispatch, jailer, deputy, K-9 deputy, then an undercover narcotics. Whenever you first started telling this story about how you had a dip in this long beard, were you working narcotics then?
No, actually I wasn't. Oh, okay. So when I got into law enforcement, for one, I couldn't grow facial hair, let alone. I tried when I was about 22 to grow a mustache, and it just a horrible excuse?
It was terrible. You're like, this is bad.
Yeah, it was terrible. But so then you couldn't have facial hair. Well, when I got out of law enforcement, the first thing I did was grow a beard, and I looked a lot different than I did before. So, but no, the drug task force, my undercover stuff was more of, I had tattoos, and I kind of looked like a little punk. Okay. But
see, I couldn't see that because I see you with the tucked in shirt. I mean, were you wearing JNCOs with like the 18-inch leg like with the chain?
Like a wife beater and khaki shorts, down to my knees, and but
I could see that.
And a lot of it with the Mid-Missouri Drug Task Force, it wasn't just, we didn't do a whole lot of undercover stuff. We chased meth labs, and we chased people stealing anhydrous ammonia to make that meth, and so we didn't get to do a whole lot of undercover stuff, but when we did, it was fun. It was interesting, and fortunately, nothing bad ever happened to me. So
yeah. So you, from the undercover narcotics, you then went to the Mid-Mo Drug Task Force.
That was part of the undercover narcotics. Oh, okay. I was assigned to the Mid-Missouri Drug Task Force through Morgan County, and we had, at that time, we had about 6 counties in the state of Missouri that we went and worked narcotics in. And I don't know what the Mid-Missouri Drug Task Force now, probably they got quite a few counties they're still trying to deal with. Pettis County being one, Morgan, Montauk, Miller, Camden, they all these counties. But
so now, whenever you decided to leave, like the sheriff's department, you had basically 3 different.
I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I'm 45 years old right now, and I'm telling you, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Man,
but
do you know what I really want to do? And you would think it's like own a trail riding facility and do this. No, I want to be able to, have a full-time manager here to help us.
Run this place, yeah.
And then I love my clients. Like, you don't even understand, like, they're family that you choose. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got family that you don't choose, and then you got family that you would choose. My clients are family that I would choose. And, but I want to write, like, motivational books, and I want to have like these Big Boss Mare conferences where people come in and I help them with getting their mind right, organization, and then have specialty people that come in for a workout program and then fitness, but then focus on business. Like, that's what I want to do, like a kind of like a makeover, but a complete person, and then have just, because I have gotten to see from all the different things that I've done, so many people, if you could just lend a hand to them or show them a different way to do something. I mean, like right now, I have a goal setting group that people pay me to be in, and they get to see all of my behind the scenes stuff. But then I'm helping that group of people, and it's a whole year long. And it doesn't even cost that much. But then I have 2 coaches myself. I right now have a marketing coach, and I hired her for 10 sessions, and then after that, we'll see what we want to do. But then I also have a nutrition coach right now. Yeah. So I am someone that's helping coach people in their goal setting, but then I also have 2 coaches.
And my guess is that passion of you wanting to do that doesn't come from a dollar bill that someone's given you.
No.
It comes from when you help someone and you see how you've helped someone or how they act when you help them, how it makes your heart feel when you help someone. That's where the passion comes from. And I think that's probably why you want to go do that. I never got a thrill out of writing tickets.
Right.
I did get a thrill out of not writing a ticket to someone who was pretty sure they were going to get one. And I'd pull little old ladies with me on law enforcement could have got away with anything. But, but you know, when you pull someone over and they're speeding, and this day and age with the cars that we have, I mean, I had a 67 Chevy. I knew I was speeding when I was driving that thing, but you know, these vehicles now, you don't know that you're speeding sometimes.
No.
So
I have a little Nissan, and that thing is so smooth because we needed a grocery getter, and then we got something for pulling trailers and stuff for. We got our real farm truck, and then we got our grocery getter. My grocery getter is so quiet, and then I'll look down, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Now, even, I got a truck, and I'll look down sometimes, and I'm way over the speed limit. I'm hoping there's not a trooper or anybody out there. But yeah, the feeling of helping someone during the day, even not writing them a ticket. I've had people cry because I didn't write them a ticket. I've had people cry because I did write them a ticket. But my heart felt a lot bigger when
showing compassion and grace.
Absolutely.
So you were choosing whenever you were like, what's the next chapter in my life look like? And you were like, maybe a trooper, maybe working for conservation. But then you didn't choose those 2. You chose what? I chose
the Missouri State Water Patrol. And at that time, there was the Missouri State Highway Patrol, the Missouri State Water Patrol, and then there's the Conservation Department. I did apply for the patrol one time, and I didn't make it. Didn't make it to the first round. Took 3 tries to get on with the Missouri State Water Patrol. But once I realized I want to be a Missouri State Water Patrol, my mom actually said, "Jason, you love the water. Why don't you go become this water patrolman?" And I met at the sheriff's department when I was dispatching. A water patrolman walked in, and I didn't really know much about it. His name was Jody Hughes. He ended up becoming a major with the Missouri State Water Patrol and the Highway Patrol. But so then I really got interested in the water patrol, and I applied, and I kept applying until they took me. And it was weird. The third time, it was almost like I walked in, and they were like, "Yeah, we're going to hire you." The first 2 times, I felt like I was getting grilled, and but it's like, all right, we just want to see if this guy's really wants to be a water patrolman or not. And I became a water patrolman in 2005. Went to the academy January 2nd in 2005, and we graduated in June. I went to the water and was on FTO program, field training officer, for that whole summer, 6 months out there on the water. But loved it. I would recommend it to anybody out there that's interested in law enforcement to look at. Now, in 2011, the Highway Patrol merged with the Water Patrol.
Okay.
And the Water Patrol became a division of the Missouri State Highway Patrol.
Okay.
Anybody that's looking into law enforcement, I would definitely recommend looking at the Missouri State Highway Patrol and all their divisions, not just the Water Patrol, but all their divisions that they have. It was a good place to work. And I miss the people probably more than I miss the job.
Right.
But I do miss everybody that I met out there.
Yeah.
So
that's like anything where I've had a team before, like with the full contact fighting that I did for forever. I miss the team.
Yeah.
And the lady that I moved to this state for, her name's Terry Gotro. I did a podcast interview with her before, and she talks about when she went to the Olympics. Like, the Olympics was an amazing journey, right? And she actually medaled. She got a bronze medal. But she says she misses the team.
Yeah.
They all had nicknames and they worked out and they understood all the struggles that everybody went through.
Yeah.
Just really miss that.
One of the best
connection.
things about my favorite thing in law enforcement was being a part of the SWAT team. County SWAT, Water Patrol. We actually had a SWAT team with the Missouri State Water Patrol. We boarded vessels and, on the rivers and stuff. And then and when the merger happened, I became a SWAT team member with the Missouri State Highway Patrol. And a brotherhood, sisterhood, or whatever it is, when you don't have that, like I walked away from the Missouri State Highway Patrol in 2015 because I thought I was done with law enforcement. I missed all that. I missed hanging out with those people, being a part of a team. It's a weird feeling, and you'll miss it.
Mm-hmm. I miss teaching. I miss teaching all the time. And then right now in my goal setting group, I have a lady that was in the medical profession for a long time, but it was fast paced. And now she's retired, and she's like, ugh.
It's a shock.
Well, this lull.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? What's my purpose?
What do I do? Like I said, I'm 45. I'm still trying to figure out. I'm helping a buddy run a restaurant in Stover, Missouri, a town of 1,300 people. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Well, and you know what, though? Like right now, like I help out Charlie's Buffet. I even went and waitressed there one night because they were short.
Yeah.
And then I meet these people, and like I've designed, you have a business banner up in y'all's restaurant of our place, and then at our place we have y'all's metal signs going up. We just designed that.
And it looks good. It looks great.
Oh, thank you.
Yours and ours. I mean, I appreciate you doing all that.
Well, and you know what? People sometimes would be like, what does she want? And I'm all like...
No, I'll tell anybody right now, you've not asked us for anything. Not even a free cheeseburger.
No.
I mean, we at least owe you a free bacon cheeseburger at least.
No. But you know what? Right now I've hired this fitness instructor to help me, and I get... well, she didn't tell me I could have a day off, but I'm going to take a day off a week. And I'm going to your restaurant I'm bringing people with me. And actually, it's going to be tomorrow, which doesn't matter about this podcast or anything when they listen to it. Because do you know what's been messing me up on my nutrition stuff is she has me counting macros like fats, carbs, and proteins. I've been eating so much fat, and I didn't even the things that I love. I'm all like, peanut butter, nuts, cheese, and beef have more fat in it than what I can. I mean, I can have all of those, but then I have to like really be cautious for the rest of the day. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like my weight for this this is my first week, is coming down, and I'm over here like, wow. Because I've ate healthy, but I needed to tweak it. Yeah. Just that little bit of tweaking. And I know that you're never going to get different results doing things the same way. And I've been trying to get different results doing the same thing.
I will tell you, if you want to lose some weight, open a restaurant. I think we've all lost 20, 30, 40 pounds.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
You kind of lose your appetite. I've lost 20 pounds since we opened the restaurant.
Yeah, and you get sick of it because you see it all the time. You kind of lose your
appetite, and in the summer we're sweating. We're back there. We were back, me, Chuck, everybody was back in the kitchen with Wes, and you're just sweating.
Yep.
Your rear end off. And so you lose you lose that water weight, and then you just don't really feel like eating a whole lot. So we all lost a lot of weight.
I used to work at an ice cream store in high school. I'm like, I don't want no ice cream.
Yeah, no more.
No, I don't. Well, just because I was around it all the time. Yeah. And at the beginning, I ate the heck out of it. And then I was like, I'm kind of done with it for a second.
Thank you.
You said in law enforcement, I always do a little bit of like a pre-interview with people so then I can know where to go with these podcasts. And you said in law enforcement that you see the worst and good people. and you see the good in people that are considered bad.
It's supposed to be bad people. You see a lot of bad things, and you see the people that you really thought were good people do bad things. I had no idea what Morgan County was like until I started dispatching. I didn't realize the drugs that we had and the abuse and just everything. And but it's really, really rewarding when you see someone who is maybe considered to be a bad person actually helps and does good things.
Well,
but
yeah, I have seen some people.
But it breaks your heart when you see the good people do bad things.
Oh, yeah. Some of my clients that are the hardest on me are the ones with the most money. And I don't know if it's an entitlement thing. And then people that I know that are working their butt off for every freaking $20 bill that they ever put in their wallet, they are so sweet, and they're the most giving and the most supportive.
Did you meet Wes? He's our manager in the kitchen.
I am a big fan of Wes. I actually brought him a calendar from my vet that had horses all over it.
He has got to come out here and see this place.
Yep.
He would fall in love with it. But, Wes had gotten some trouble in its past. I don't think he minds me talking about it. But
he told me about it. Yeah.
That guy has one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen. He would do anything for anybody.
Yep.
But I don't think anybody, wouldn't want to make him mad by any means. But he works his butt off in that kitchen, and he's the one he gets that food out so fast.
Yep.
I'm used to going to restaurants and waiting a long time to get food, especially in today's world with no lack of help or whatever. Wes can knock out that food, and the quality of his food is so good. Our whole staff in the kitchen and out front, his mom, Donna, Wes's mom, Donna, used to work for Classic.
I did not know that was his mama.
That's his mama.
I love his mama. She's a great waitress.
She's the sweetest.
Well, and she's she pays attention and she's able to fix problems before there's a problem, and sees the glass is half empty, and she's like, let me get that filled up for you.
She's done this job for a long time, 20, 30 years, I'd say. And she is. And the people that come in and when they see that Donna's not there, they get a little disappointed. And I've had a lot of them ask me, "Where's Donna? Where's Donna?" But her, and if you met any of her kids, their family, they're all good people. Wes's two brothers are actually deputies of Morgan County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
One's a detective, and the other one is a deputy, a canine officer. And we are very fortunate to have family and friends at that restaurant. People ask us, are you having any problems getting help? We're really not, because we do have this base, we have this family, and we have this friends.
Well, y'all got roots there.
We got roots.
Yeah,
and
you've got roots.
At any given time, and there's been times, I've had to get on the phone and, hey, can you guys come up here and help? And they'll come through that door, 5 or 6, 7 of them, no matter what we need, they'll come through that door helping.
So this right here, all right, people be prepared to listen to everything that's going to come out of my mouth before you get mad, okay? So I've seen a lot, right? And then I choose to be where I'm at. Well, whenever I was talking to Jason has been in the same town or 15 minutes from where he began. So I was like, oh, he hasn't been out and seen a whole bunch. But with his job, the world came to him. He was able to get cultured with staying in one area because everything come to him with being in law enforcement, working for or working with all of the visitors that came in to the Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah, it was a cultural shock when I went to the water patrol. I grew up in a little bitty John boat with a 5-horse Evinrude in Grandpa. And
so I had to get him to define that, and it was AKA small boat.
It's a small boat.
Okay.
Small, very small fishing boat that you really shouldn't stand up in.
Oh, okay.
You should
It's
always
gonna
be
flip over.
sitting down. But then I get with the Missouri State Water Patrol, and I'm looking at these cruisers going down the lake, and I'm in a 28-foot Challenger, and it was different. But yeah, I think you probably described it the best as the world comes to you at Lake of the Ozarks, and I'm seriously. It wasn't just Kansas City, St. Louis people. It was people from all over the country and all over the world that came there.
Yep.
And, you do get educated pretty quick.
Yeah, well, you get diversified. That's like with our facility, we have people that come from Michigan, Wisconsin. We've had people come from Utah, Arizona, California. I mean, during COVID, because we didn't ever shut down because we're a camping facility and everybody was like, be outside, get some fresh air. Well, we were outside fresh air. Okay. Yeah. It was a Tuesday, and I remember we had campers from 7 different states here, and we were able to spread them out and everything. So and then talking to them, and you get to hear their stories and stuff. So with us, the world comes to us also. Yeah,
and it's the same way with the restaurant. Mm-hmm. I can't believe some places people are from when they're just stopping in. We had a couple in there the other day that was from California, and I'm like, oh, you mean California, Missouri? And they were like,
what?
No. I'm like, oh, we've got a California, Missouri just right up the road. But yeah, these people were from California. I don't think they were the typical Californians that I see on the news and stuff like that. They were really nice and
insert giggle.
Yeah. But it's crazy how many people here. When you walk around here and you see those campers and you see the Tennessee license plates, and you're like, this is nuts.
Do you know that we offer a yearly pass to come here for people to come and day ride where they don't camp? It's $100.
A year?
A year.
Oh, I'll write a check when I...
my gosh. Do you know we only had 12 people sign up for it last year, and last year was our largest number here. Our clients do not come locally. If we are 30 minutes or 45 minutes from somebody, they're just like, oh, you're too far.
Too far away.
And I'm like, what, am I supposed to be connected to the back end of your property?
if your place is along the interstate, you're not going to have a place like this.
Yeah.
But
you can't get away from everything without getting away from everything. We can't be in the middle of town for you because we would not exist there.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, anybody that's listening to this has not been out here. This is awesome. And I'm going to give you a $100 bill before we leave here. Because I want to. Now, so when someone does do that, they bring their own horses. They can, okay.
Yeah, Wes is
going to come out here. We're going to bring him out here.
He needs to get out here.
Yeah.
So, what I was talking about with, I was like, I was really surprised that you had not really ventured out that much, because whenever you go to the restaurant, it's nice. I mean, it's beautiful. It's decorated well, and the food is. Sometimes whenever people haven't experienced a lot, then their toolbox just isn't as full.
Sure.
Y'all's toolbox must be overflowing because you have great stuff. Even the alcohols that y'all serve are the best. I mean, they're good.
Yeah, one of the best compliments we got, me and Chuck were standing on the patio, and this couple was from Kansas City. They'd been coming down here for 20 years, driving through Stover for 20 years. And she said, I don't want to offend you guys, but we've been coming down here for 20 years, and this is not what we expected to see in Stover, Missouri. You've got the nice building, you got the 16-foot glass garage door, the patio, the area in front where, we're going to have cornhole tournaments or little events or little get-togethers, whatever we want out there. But that was probably, like I said, one of the best compliments, and she thought it was an insult. But she said, this is what we see in the city. This is what we're used to up here. And if I took you out on Lake of the Ozarks, you'd see some similarities of some businesses out there. But yeah, Chuck, he talked to a lot of different people. We bounced ideas off each other and off of other people, and he come up with this. He wanted that garage door and laid it out. He drew it out on a piece of paper, and his cousin built the building. So J.D. Knight with Midstate Construction, they built it and did a wonderful job. And literally, it was on a piece of paper like you have right there in front of you, the drawing was.
Well, okay, so let's tell them. All right, so let's talk about y'all have been changing your day's clothes, because at first y'all just gave yourself 1 day clothes, which is nuts.
Yeah, we needed to give everybody at least 2 days off. And, we may change that in the summer. We may go back to 1 day off, but we did change it. We got Monday, Tuesdays off, and we close at 3 on Sundays now. Just to kind of let everybody go home on a Sunday evening. And
you got to take care of your family. You got to take care of your employees if you want them to take care of you.
Sure.
So let's talk about the restaurant a little bit. So y'all have pulled pork. You've got BLTs. Now y'all's bacon is great. I do love the quality of your bacon. And then y'all have all sorts of appetizers. You've got, I don't know about the trash can nachos. That sounds delicious, by the way.
Yeah,
Even though it's got the word trash can in it.
Yeah, it's a pile of nachos. I mean, and we bring it out in a empty, hollowed out coffee can.
Okay.
And we layer it, just keep layering and keep layering the pulled pork, the nachos, the cheese, the onions, the pulled pork, the nachos. And then,
I'm on day 6 of my eating plan, and tomorrow's my day off, right? You're killing me.
Yeah. But yeah, then we take it out there, we set it on the table, we pull it off. And it usually, if the guys have put enough cheese on that thing, it's going to stand up.
Oh, really?
Now, some of them chips will fall off, but for the most part, it kind of stands there if there's enough cheese on it.
And then you got fish and chips. You've got a buffalo chicken wrap. You got a brisket cheese melt. And then things that aren't on your menu, whatever stuff that you have, because I've asked for a grilled cheese before.
Yeah.
That had bacon on it, and they were like, sure. And I was like, how many cheeses can you put on it? And it was a couple of different cheeses y'all had.
There'll be people come in, they'll say, tell Wes that so-and-so's here. He knows what I want. And he'll make up, he's got a sandwich that he calls the ham dinger, and it's like it's got the cheese and the ham and the brioche bun, and it's a good sandwich. And it's not on the menu, but.
Oh, y'all have also something called, so I seen a 13-year-old kid order the Patio double. And when 13-year-old boys are usually like open-ended garbage disposals. Yeah. I mean, he couldn't eat the whole double. Yeah, I was like, what burger. Up, big boy? You can't eat that?
I seriously haven't tackled the Triple B or the Oak Street, and there's no way I can do the Patio double, but the Triple B is a big burger.
Yeah, the Triple B.
We're talking about brisket, bacon, and beef. That's the Triple B burger. Mm-hmm. And it's a big one, but there are plenty of people out there that can tackle it. Not me.
Well, and your Oak Street burger, it has pulled pork, pepper jack cheese, onion straws, but it's also got 1/3 of a pound of that hamburger.
Yeah.
So
that's a big burger too.
Okay, so Megan Acklin, the girl that's been here since she was 11 through 18 working for our ranch. She's like 6 miles away. That little girl who's like 5'2", she can eat that, and then she's just like, yes. She's like, this is so good. And I'm like, where did it go?
Yeah. This is what I like about Chuck and what he came up with. So, and I'll go back to telling kind of how we got into this, pushing Chuck and everybody kind of wanting him to do something like this. He's done a great job of picking this menu. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but before this started when he was smoking meats for different charity events. Mm-hmm. Everybody would come to Chuck. Chuck, can you smoke me so many pounds of pulled pork, briskets, whatever? Man, and the smokers that he had, some of them were junk. So I convinced him one day. We were at the sheriff's office, and I was like, let's just put our money together and let's buy a smoker. We were looking at Piggyback Smoker down in Tennessee, and was looking at all the ones that they built. And I called him on the phone, and I've laid this drawing out asking Chuck, what do you think about, can we put a pizza oven on there? You want a pizza oven on there? He's like, yeah, can they put a pizza oven on there? So I call him, like, can you guys put a pizza oven on the corner of this? And then a fish fryer, and then a grill on the front of it. And Chuck didn't know we designed it. I designed it, laid it out. But I called him one day, and I'm like, man, can you make a sign that says the Chuck Wagon? Mm-hmm. And they're like, absolutely, that's cool. So being Chuck, we put it on there, and they had it delivered, and there's this big metal sign on there that says the Chuck Wagon. But so then we went from, we had a good smoker, we had a good product, but we wanted to go to anywhere we could go. Parking lot, let's sell pulled pork by the pound, ribs, or whatever. And that turned into, hey, maybe we should buy a little building and set a little building. And a buddy of ours had bought a house in town, and Chuck ended up buying that from him, and he was gonna level that out. We were gonna set maybe a building on there and just kick it out the windows. And one day I went over to his house, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna retire from law enforcement. I'm gonna go get a loan, and I'm gonna build this building. And that's when he started drawing it out and laying it out. So that's how it all came to. And
so you bought the grill first, and then you built the building.
Then we built the building.
With it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We I tell everybody at the restaurant, they're like, they want to know, well, are you the owner? I always get out. No, I'm not the owner. I'm just the dumb friend that said, hey, if you do this, I'll be there to help you. So I've been there since day one. But
So that's why I said that it's owned and operated, because you're the operated.
I'm the operated sign.
Yeah, you're the
thing.
you're the and operated.
Yeah.
But y'all have been friends. I mean, like, what a great story. In with married couples, which I know you and Chuck are not married because y'all
I
have
think some
your
people
wives.
think we are. We are married. But.
Well, in my world, 85 or it's either 80 or 85% of married couples that work together, they get divorced. Okay. So if y'all ever, and I know you are two grown men that have been around each other since you were 10, what would happen if y'all ever started bickering and fighting because working together in business and money, and, so.
It gets in the way.
Yeah.
People get in business. I'm in business with my cousin from that little town, Patio, Missouri. We own Heart's Smoking Sauce. Mm-hmm. It gets in the way a little bit. Now, me and Greg, my cousin, have done it fine. But when we were sat down one day talking about ownership, it started out we were going to do this 50-50. And we had another friend that we thought, all of us will do it together. Well, I don't want anything to interfere with my friendship with Chuck.
Right.
And at any given time right now, if I feel like it's starting to teeter, I can walk away from the restaurant.
Right.
And Chuck can run the thing without me. Now, he's not going to be out there socializing as much as I do, but someone else can do that. But, I can walk away from it at any given time. I do have ownership in the sauces, but that's something that we don't have to be with each other every single day. I can go out and push this sauce to stores. Me, Billy, and Chuck can work and really not even hang out a whole lot, but just try to make that sauce successful.
Well, I know, like my husband and I, we ever said that if this caused us issues, if Von Holten Ranch caused he and I issues, we will close the doors.
Yeah.
We'll close the doors and do whatever we want to do. We can, I can get a job, he can get a job, we could do something different.
Absolutely.
So don't let a business destroy something that was okay before it, a relationship.
And I think a failing business will destroy a relationship, and a successful relationship or a successful business could destroy. When money starts getting involved with things, I think that's when people kind of go a little crazy. So,
well, with the horse world, with competitions, man, if I have it where they can win $5, $20, it just changes it. But if I can give them nice ribbons and stuff, it seems like it's a better, if I can lower the cost of the competition and not have money involved in it, it's better. As soon as you take the money out, then it's better. So we are about to start carrying, actually today, you brought me some cases. We've got this Patio 52 barbecue sauce. Did you bring in me anything else?
I've got to go get some cases of that Heart's sauce. Mine and Greg's.
Heart's does not have an E in it. So there's a couple of different sauces going on.
Yeah. My cousin approached me a few years ago, and he's like, he had a restaurant down there in Potosi, and real short story, long story short, Jim and Ann Hart was making this sauce in their kitchen, and they approached Greg, my cousin, down there, and he kind of fell in love with it. He started using it in his restaurant like religiously, and he would blend it. He would make his own different kind of sauces. Well, for whatever reason, they couldn't Jim and Ann couldn't get it out there. They just approached Greg and said, "Hey, are you interested in buying the recipe for this?" That's when Greg called me. I think Greg and Chuck are a lot alike. They're both foodies. They know food. I don't know food. They both know that I don't mind going out there and talking.
Right.
So Greg was like, "Man, would you help me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll help you." I believe that sauces are created to cover up bad food, but Heart's smoked. I don't like a lot of sauces.
Yeah.
But when I tried Heart's smoking sauce for the first time, I was like, man, this is different. Yep. This is really, really different. I couldn't compare it to anything. And from there, Greg created the wing sauce, and then he created a rub. They're all phenomenal products. And then Chuck is making Patio 52 sauce before we open the restaurant. I'm like, Chuck, you got to come to our manufacturer. You got to come up there because you're not going to be able to keep up with this sauce in the restaurant. So we went up, we sat down with the manufacturer. This is the barbecue sauce that they came up with, and it is phenomenal. I love this barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
I think it's better than any barbecue sauce out there.
Yep.
And really right now, I mean, you can come pick it up at the patio, but until we're working on getting the barcodes on it, and we're going to start working on some grocery chains to try to get Patio 52 and Hearts. So we've teamed up. Chuck has teamed up with Hearts, and we're going to have a food trailer next year. My cousin Greg's got a food trailer. It's got Hearts logos all over it. We're going to peel the logos off. We're going to put Patio 52, and we're going to feature in Hearts smoking sauce on some of the products. And it's going to be an interesting summer for Patio 52 and Hearts smoking sauce.
Well, and you know what a gift to our area is that Ozark International Speedway that's about to open, because I do believe you're the last sit-down restaurant before you get to that, if I'm correct, or close to it.
I'd say, yeah.
Or one of the very last sit-down restaurants.
That may change depending on what goes on down there at that place.
Oh, I'm sure we're about to have an explosion of commerce in our area, because that is a multi-million-dollar high-end. They have put in a racetrack that's actually paved, but it's like zigging, and it's not just going in a circle.
No, it's a road course.
It is beautiful. I want to try to do a podcast interview with them, but I mean, I'm one of the closest RV parks. I mean, they have some that are going in there, but I think we're the closest one that allows horses, or we also have our wedding and event barn.
Yeah.
So I think that we're going to end up with a lot of the people from the Speedway, because they're going to be less than 30 minutes away, but then they can come here and have tranquility, basically, you know.
Peace and quiet.
Mm-hmm. Peace and quiet, and it's still going to be, right now, our world is nuts. Our world is nuts right now. And people need to, whenever they do vacations, I think they need to do more whenever they do a vacation. Instead of doing a couple of them, that's going to increase their fuel cost. But if they could stay longer in one area and have multiple things to do, then it's going to save them money. And so that's what I'm really trying to focus on. Whenever people come to Von Holten Ranch, they don't just come to Von Holten Ranch. They come to our area for what is special to this area. And we've got that Ozark Speedway. I actually work with, I think his name Bryce out of Versailles that works at Save a Lot. He's selling Missouri-only beef. Okay, all the beef that he's selling there, and they make custom brats. They have a Bryce. Did I call him something?
Bryce.
Yeah, Bryce.
He's an amazing guy. So we have Hearts smoking sauce out there, and once we get the barcodes on there, Bryce is like, start bringing that Patio 52 sauce in.
Oh,
He actually made a brat out of our Hearts seasoning.
Oh, wow.
That was
See,
really
I didn't
good.
even know that.
Yeah.
And here we are talking, and I'm just like, because I'm on the Versailles Chamber of Commerce right now. I'm one of their chair members, or board members, chair member, however they want to say it, because I'm in like 5 different chambers. But, they even make a brat that has gummy bears in it. I mean, and they have a pickle one. I mean, like, and I'm not like, oh yeah, I want to eat that, but I sure do want to take a bite out of one. So it means I'm gonna have to buy one. But we use their brats for all sorts of stuff. And then for our area, I mean, I just really want people to experience more whenever they come.
There really is a lot in this area that people don't realize. Mm-hmm. The racetrack is probably the biggest thing it is the biggest thing so far that I've ever seen come into Morgan County. I will say I'm glad I'm not a state trooper anymore, because the amount of traffic that's going to be going down 135, 5 Highway, J, all them highways, I just can't imagine, what's going to... I used to go to the Kansas Speedway. We had season tickets up there, and the traffic was backed up for miles. I don't know what's going to happen. Our area is
about to boom.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, I think.
It is going to be, and I'm happy to be an established business right now before this expansion, because there's going to be an expansion that comes from that.
I do, and I think it's it's not just Stover, Missouri is going to benefit from what's going on. I think it's going to be the ripple. Whole area is going to benefit. Now, I haven't been to the racetrack. I haven't seen it or anything. I've just heard. Mm-hmm. If they're really going to do what they say they're going to do, it's going to be huge.
I've drove out there twice. I have not got to go see it in person, like actually be down there, but then I've watched videos. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I've seen some of the videos. It's pretty neat.
Yep. All right. So if people want to get, if they want to come to to this restaurant, how do they get there? And or do y'all have a Facebook page? Like, where do they find you?
We do have a Facebook page, and you can find us on that until we get a website up and going. Facebook is the best option that we have. We are right on 52 Highway. That's why we're called Patio 52.
And it's before what turn?
Before 135 South.
And 135 South is where that Ozark International Speedway race is.
That's where it's going in.
Yep.
And now if you're heading to the lake and you're from Kansas City, then yeah, we're on the right-hand side as you're coming into town. Sometimes people miss it because there's a big billboard that kind of blocks our building and stuff. But if you're heading the opposite direction, you're heading west, we're right there on the left. We're across from one of the oldest restaurants in Morgan County, or Stover, which I was a dishwasher when I was about 13, 14 years old there, is Merritt's. So a lot of people know where Merritt's Cafe is, and we're pretty much right across the street from it.
Also, so I want to make sure and preference this. Whenever they go by it and they see vehicles and they're like, oh, there's not a place to park. There's less, just go in still, because you have more seating than what it appears with the parking lot. The parking lot is deceptive because I'll see cars and I'm like, there ain't gonna be no room for us in there. But if you can park on the road, like right there where you turn up, be respectful to the people's homes that are there, of course.
Absolutely.
And then
don't block driveways.
No, don't block driveways. But I mean, it's a mom and pop. Well, actually, it's a pop and pop operation. Okay.
Yeah.
But don't let the cars scare you, because there's always enough seating in there.
So the best way, when we were building it, I wanted it in a different location, but I wanted it on the other side of 135 where we would have had a huge parking lot and plenty of room. And Chuck was right. He wanted it in a spot where that lake traffic from Kansas City was going to see it.
I think y'all would have missed out being on the other side.
I didn't realize it, but some Kansas City people came in one day and they were like, I didn't know you guys had a car wash. Well, our car wash is on the east side of 135. And I'm like, yeah. So I think if we would have built it over there, we probably would have missed out on more traffic. But the 2 weeks before we opened the doors, some chefs from St. Louis came down. They laid out a lot of food items, the roasted red pepper sauces, trying everything. And we were out in the parking lot talking, and I was like, yeah, the only bad thing is we just don't have much parking. And they told me, they said, Jason, don't worry about your parking. Have good food, have good service. Those people will find a place to park. And you think about it, you go to the city, you go to a restaurant, you're parking blocks away to walk to a decent restaurant. So it really and we really don't have, we have people complain about parking, but a lot of people from out of the area, they don't complain.
They probably have to finish chewing that hamburger up before they can complain, because the food is so good. Man, if we listen to people tell us what we're not, I mean, I would go sit down in a cardboard box and cry myself to sleep if I listened to what everybody has. Well, and plus me I'm like not even 5'7". I'm like right under 5'7", and I'm a plus size cowgirl. You know how many people have been telling me my whole life that I couldn't, shouldn't, wouldn't, and I'm just like, guess who's been sponsored by Adidas before and fought internationally in a heavyweight division where most women are a minimum of 6 foot tall. Yeah. And guess how many people have told me that Big Boss Mare with Brandy Von Holten podcast wouldn't do any good. Well, guess what? I mean, we just won Missouri's Best Podcast for 2022, and it's been downloaded so far in 29 countries. And I've only got like 2 or 3 states left till I'm in every state been downloaded in. So, like,
this is my first time of doing a podcast. I've done interviews before with KS95 and JT Geralt and them out there, but that's a different deal. You're coming in there, you're talking for a few minutes. This podcast stuff, sitting down and actually having a conversation and talking about things is pretty interesting.
Well, I love getting to know more. You know what I mean? Just to get to know more. Like, it makes me feel more connected with people doing a podcast, and it makes me appreciate their lineage.
Yeah.
you know. So
well, it's neat, and like I said, I appreciate you having me out here and getting to talk about the restaurant, not just the restaurants, but a lot of other stuff that's happened and got me and Chuck to where we are right now. So.
Okay, so y'all can, if you can't find the restaurant, then you can just ask me because I'll tell you, or I'll be like, hey, if you're going, I want to go with you.
if you come to Stover, Missouri, Stover's not very big. You'll find it eventually. Just take a couple of different turns and we'll be right there on the highway.
It's black and silver.
Yep.
It's silver. What is that called? Wainscoting.
Yeah.
Silver
and black panels,
and then black panel on top. So it's very classy looking.
Yeah, look for that 16-foot glass garage door. So, which we got to use more in December this year than we've got to use all summer long. But
the world's a weird little place. Everything's weird right now.
Yeah, everything is weird.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to Big Boss Mare with Brandy Von Holten.